Ladies, welcome back in the channel. This is your boy Michael Donovan Jr. and here I'm gonna discuss some music today. I'm really sorry I've been kind of busy lately. I guess there were some important stuff that I had to carry out in my life before making sure that I can have a say on those things that makes me kind of frustrated when I see the way artists are displaying themselves, when I see just the the quality, the acoustic quality during shows and live in venues. I'm like, there's much work to do for amateurs, for the commoners that like to do music like me. But I know we are many people that don't necessarily do that for a living, but at least they enjoy themselves, and I think this is something fairly important, right? How many shows, how many venues that I've been to, and you just have a simple microphone. Well, yeah, I have some condenser mics, but usually for stage setup it would be dynamic microphones. But anyway, you simply have a microphone which is directly plugged to a mixing board with no treatment whatsoever in between. So coming from the world of mixing, I know processing is very important, right? In a studio situation, you would mix the voice afterwards. You would have something we call post-processing, which is not possible in a live situation. So you need some pre-processing, and pre-processing is basically setting up a serial circuit with different units that are here, to treat the sound, to make the voice more bright and more gentle and mixed, where there's no frequency bumps, things like that. I'm talking about EQ, I'm talking about compression, I'm talking about enhancing. So there's many little modules that you can wedge in between the first input, which is the voice, the microphone, and the output, which is the console that sends the vocals all the way to the PA system or the PA speakers. So, and considering that you also need some feedback at some point, you would need to hear yourself. So you're gonna have to think about, okay, there's the let's say the mixing setup for the public address. Now there's gotta be my own mixing, simply for my comfort and for the sake of I hear myself properly and I sing in time and in tune. So for a singer, the least you have to do. So in this video, I'm not going to be covering all the technical tweakings about it, but you just got to understand that on stage you would need at least the three things I already mentioned: a compressor, an EQ, and a mic amp. Okay, because see, that's okay. Let's say that's my my little petty pitching side that comes into play, but I like condenser mic. Okay, they are way better with the how let's say how your voice would be translated from acoustic form to electric form. It's much more accurate, it's much more precise. So that's why I like those condenser mic right there. Even the cheaper condenser mic, this is a Behringer C1, guys. It's about $30, $40, I don't know, but that's a very entry-level mic. Okay, it's gonna be way better, especially if you want to have subtle details and stuff like that. If you're a vocalist and you want the people to really focus their attention on the vocals, this is going to be better for you. this gonna have this kind of microphones, this specific technology, is gonna have it's gonna solve trouble for you when it comes to feedback. And an EQ basically is there to prevent feedback from happening. So on the new graphic equalizer, you have an option called feedback rejection, which you activate. It's just a knob that you have to activate, and it's gonna sort of detect the frequencies that are which are causing the feedback to occur, and you're just gonna have to slightly diminish the level knob on those frequencies, and there you go. You don't have any feedback anymore. Feedback is when the room noise is being captured by the microphone, and it creates certain peaks, resonance. We call it resonant peaks in acoustics, and they are dreadful to the ear. This like a sudden noise, very like a sizzle, and it really ruins your live setup. So you need a graphic equalizer for that sake. Then mixing the vocals with the let's say you have 32 knobs and you want to tweak them for the voice. I'm not sure about that. At least if you really know exactly what you want to do with that, you can give it a try. But I would not recommend to say, okay, 200 hertz, I'm gonna just pin that down for 5 or 6 decibels. What for? I don't know, but it's up to you. This is a possibility. I would say maybe the lowest range, which is from 20 all the way up to 125 maybe hertz, which is the very bottom part, the body part, considering that the bass in the room situation is going to resonate a lot too much, maybe diminishing that that part of the frequency range might be a good deal. It's going to prevent the microphone from capturing the bass sounds, which you don't want in a microphone. Even if you're a baritone, a low baritone, the lowest note you're gonna play is probably something around B3, C3. So in terms of frequencies, it represents around 150 as a fundamental note. So everything that's above that is gonna be the body chunky part, which you don't need, honestly. So maybe filtering that part of the spectrum is interesting. Now, so let's just say you have your mic amp, because you need an external unit to power this, which is not the case with an dynamic mic. Okay. And now you want to hit the compressor. So what the compressor does is clipping, limiting. So you're gonna set a threshold, and every signal that has an amplitude that goes beyond this threshold is gonna be dampened. That's very important, because if you have a microphone as close as a few inches from your mouth, sometimes the sudden very high velocity noises you're gonna create with your mouth, it can be plosives. That's how they call that, plosives. It's gonna create a peak of signal, and you're gonna see a red dot appearing on the level bulbs. Okay, and again, to your ear, if you hear that, you're not gonna feel comfortable about it. So you better have a limiter that is going to eliminate those issues, basically. Compression, on the other hand, is not only a threshold, but it really have a grasp on the whole signal, and it makes sure that you are kind of you are skewing your voice in the main playback, for example. So if you set up some, let's say you have a 30 decibels threshold, and now you want to apply a 4:1 ratio, then everything you're gonna be singing is gonna feel more flat. There's not gonna be so much variations in volume, which is good for you, okay? Because if you play some notes louder than others, which is mostly the case when you play, for me, for example, if I sing like C5 note, it's gonna be a lot louder than E5, which is my kind of my bridge, okay, my passaggio. And with a compressor, I will be singing all the notes, and it will seems to me that I sing them with the same amplitude, even though I'm not, because the signal is being compressed. Then you always have an attack and a release knob. The attack is by definition the time in between the compressor takes place. So you can set it up from a few milliseconds all the way up to 100 milliseconds. You don't want too much of that, but you can set up anything in between 0 and 10 milliseconds. And the release is how long the compression effect is gonna last. And again, you can set it all the way up to 500 milliseconds, for example. So when you have this serial mixing path taking place, the result here is on the mixing board, you're gonna just say the compressor output is gonna be my mixing console input, and from there I'm gonna have my playback or the microphones. If you have a band, it's gonna be a guitarist, the bassist, it's gonna be the guys on drums, the guy on drums, because usually there's only one. But if you have a percussionist, I don't know what setup you can have on stage, but at the end of the day, you want to have as much channels on your mixing board as there are musicians in your band, right? And I'm gonna talk about your own feedback on another video, because that's a lot to intake for one. Let's just keep things very simple and nitty-gritty right here, because I think I'm gonna get confused myself too. So let's just say now you have a playback. You only need two channels, one for your microphone and the other one for the playback. And well, the playback doesn't need any treatment. Maybe you can treat the playback, but I don't know, it's up to you again. You're gonna need multiple channels in your EQ, probably up to 3, which is like gonna be a big EQ for that sake, a big compressor. I don't know. You can mix the playback as well. I'm not doing it, but it's a possibility. And then you're gonna have this input on the mixing board again. And basically that's it. But the vocal chain, guys, is the single most important thing you can think about as a vocalist. If you really want the people to pay attention, to be engulfed with your vocals, you're gonna need some treatment. The last thing I want to mention is a possibility you have, because we're talking about serial treatment. Now there is another option called parallel treatment, which is implies the use of an auxiliary channel. So on a mixing board, you're gonna have an auxiliary send. It's called FX send, and let's just say you want reverb. So you don't wanna have reverb on your main vocals. You don't wanna have like a secondary signal that adds to the first with that little reverb texture taking place. So you're gonna have FX send. And depending on the kind of mixing console you have, you're gonna have a aux return. So on mine, this is, I'm never using this one, but yeah, this brand is Mackie. That's a mixed head, and basically there's an aux return knob input right here, which is a quarter inch return kind of, and you necessarily right. So you have an aux send right here and an aux return. So you're gonna send it to a reverb pedal or any distortion pedal. I don't know what effect you want, and then it's gonna come back in the aux return one. And then on the channel, let's just say I have my microphone plugged over here. I have my auxiliary knob, and I'm just gonna apply some gain to it. A little gain, depending on how much reverb you want to add to the signal. So that's called parallel. And parallel, honestly, I've never seen that in a live show. Because usually when you want to do something as complex as I do, you would have a digital console where all of that doesn't really matter, because everything is in the built-in software. So the EQ I was talking about, the compression, is in the software. You don't need to be plugging 100 different devices together, patching them up. You just need your microphone. I don't know how it works. You probably have a RG45 kind of little box, a splitter. I don't know how this whole thing is set up. I may have to be brushing up in order to talk about this fairly well. But it's a whole different game. But it's also a whole different price for that console right here. It's about $50. But when you see a digital console, you can go all the way up to 2,000, or they may start around 400. But the good ones with many channels, I know the price just swells real fast. So it's also a matter of how much pennies are you able to bring to the table for setting up this. I know for just what I was talking about, and expecting the PA system itself. Let's just say you have a venue where they already have some any kind of PA system. They just have, it could be, I don't know, it could be sound bars, it could be any speakers, right? So they already have the speakers. You would have to afford, anywhere between $300 and $400 for what I was talking about. So microphone, EQ, mic amp, compressor, and a mixing board, and the cables. Let's not forget about the cables. So that was the topic today. I want to make sure that the people, if they are interested in music and they be watching this video, it's not so hard. People trying to downplay you when you start to talk about all this stuff, because they are not in a technical. They are not wearing the technical hat of what we call an engineer, even though most of them are engineer. But it's very important to have a setup where the vocals are clean, because one too many times I've been in shows where it's not the case, and you end up suffering because the voice have either too much boominess, there are resonance peak happening, there is feedback happening. Come on, man, that's in 2025, that's unbearable to have this. We're not in the 70s no more. In the 70s, maybe I would say, okay, the technology is not advanced enough, so there's not much we can do. But today, there's much you can do about it, and not for as much investment as you might think it is. So I don't know. That was the topic today. All the demonstration I show, all the rehearsal I do are based with this kind of setup, and I'm usually recording with my phone, so it using the microphone of the phone, which is terrible. But you already see that the balance is good, that the voice is there's a distinction between the voice and the playback. You know, there is already you can hear the clarity in my voice, even with the cheapest microphone on earth with which I record this video. I'm gonna do some more professional content sooner or later, but for now I'm just releasing content, you know, not really caring too much about how much time I spent just mixing the videos and doing some fancy intros and stuff like that. I just record, you know what, I press record, I play, I press and recording, and I launch the video like that. That's a much more intuitive way to be a content creator. That's much more spontaneous. Oh, suddenly I want to do a video. It's not going to take a week to edit and be released for, at the end of the day, I only have like a handful of people watching this. So let me know what you think about this kind of content. I'm going to keep doing it. And hopefully I will grow, guys. So see you next time. See you.